Now, the Gemara is going to borrow from Rabbi Chama this principle called Kli Umnaso Biyad. So later on, the Gemara is going to ask, in what context did Rabbi Chama make this statement of Kli Umnaso Biyad? So all we're going to see here on the top of Chavdal Nov Beis is Hachanami. In the case of these Chamorim, right, these donkey drivers who are transporting their merchandise, and one testifies for the benefit of his friend that his tefillah is on a great, quality level, is bekli umnaso biyad. We're going to borrow from Rabbi Chama that phrase, that concept of kli umnaso biyad. Now, kli umnaso biyad, as we said earlier, means that he brings with him all the kalim, all those utensils that are necessary to clinch a sale. For example, you've seen it in the old style, stands. They have a scale with like two weights, and that's how they weigh the schora and determine the price that the buyer will pay. Have you ever seen it? I still have a picture of it in my mind. I mean, today, I don't know if you'll see it, but so the mocher will bring along clay umnas. He's got his scale so that he could measure out and weigh the object that he wants, the merchandise that he wants to sell. So what's the significance of kli umnaso biyado? It means that he wants an immediate sale, as opposed to a case of latznia. Latznia means he's transporting merchandise from one place to the other, not to sell the merchandise, but rather to store it in storage houses. Now, if he's transporting his stuff for the sake of storage, he doesn't have any pressing need to start telling stories. Oh, my friend has good quality, blah, blah, blah. But if they're involved in mechira, because they both brought with them the clay umnus, the kalim that they need to sell that tefillah, he writes here, Shemachalkim boas hatefillah. The various, like, you want to separate a pound of I don't know what from the rest in order to sell it. If it's latzniya, he has no vested interest in setting up this cartel in which he'll downgrade his own tefillah and then upgrade his friend's tefillah. But if there's proof positive, an indication that he's selling his merchandise, then we have to be worried. And that's what the Tanakhama says he's not believed. But the Brisa is talking about a case of ein kli umnaso biyado. And that's why the Tanakhama is not choshish l'gom. So what Rav has done again, Abai did half the job, and he reconciled Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda. Now Rav reconciles Rabbanan and Rav. Okay, you borrowed this concept of kli umnaso biyado that proves that he's looking for an immediate buyer from Rabbi Chama, who was he originally coined this concept of kli umnaso biyado. In what context did he say it? And here's where we embark on Tumah V'Tara. And the Gemara now is Achod T'nana Mishnah, the 7th parak of Taros. So this is a big shot at introducing Taros into Daf Yomi. Because Taros is not part of Daf Yomi officially. So we have to try to sneak it in. All right. HaKador. Kador is a professional manufacturer of pottery. And this Kador is a chaver. A chaver is someone who's believed on Tumah V'Tara to testify that this is taught. And all his kederos as a chaver are bechezkas tara, which is very important for people who want to eat bitara. He niach kederosa v'yard lishtos mayim min hayor. He temporarily left his pottery, his pots, in order to get water to drink from the yaor, and no one's watching his pots. And now we're going to assume that people are coming by, and amongst those people are tmeim, and they will be mitame the kederos in the absence of the kadar, who's busy at the well pulling up water. Pnimis or pnimios tahoros, chitzonios tmeos. He says the following: the kederos are set up on what's called a ma'avar rab. Now, there are some kederos that are on the other side, and there's some on the side of the ma'avar drachim. Those that are on the side of the ma'avar drachim, are tmeos. Those are called the chitzonios, the outer ones, because we're afraid that maybe somebody tome was no gay. The pnimios, on the other hand, well, the ovrei harabim are not going to go back to the pnimios and say, "Oh, let's be mitame," that which is. So Gemara asks, "V'atanya, elu v'elu tmeos." We just said the chitzonios are tmeos, but not the pnimios. Omar Rav Chama bar Ukva. This is where Rav Chama bar Ukva introduces concept of klei umnaso biyodo. If a man lays out his kederos and he brought whatever he needs, all the utensils that he needs to sell his merchandise, then we know that there are many, many buyers, potential buyers, that are handling this merchandise, and amongst them is a Tomei who transmit to him. That's called Yad HaKol Mimashmeshes Bahem. Because before you buy metaltal and you check it out, you pick it up in your hand and you look through it. So Gemara asks about Tanya, Elu Velu Tahoros, Rav Chama bar Ab, Mar Ukva b'She'ein Kli Umnoso Biyom. He's not interested in selling. No one is going to come along and start handling his kederos and being matam. So Gemara says, "V'lohadisnan pnimios tahoros v'chitzonios tmeos." Now the Gemara has a mimonaf. This middle of the road shita doesn't seem to fit neither here nor there. If it was kliyum nosu biyado, eich mishkachesle, right? It was kliyum nosu biyado, and all his kederos should be tmeos. And if it ain't kli mechira biyado, then all his kelim should be tahoros. And the Gemara answers that even though this has to be emphasized, we're talking about ein kli umnaso biyado. So therefore, we don't have to be choshesh for the mamash mishpo rabbim. But nevertheless, we have to worry about chichuch. And it works like this. What's the difference between kederos pnimios and kederos chitzonios? Has nothing to do with mechira per se, because we're talking about ein kli mechira biyod. And he says here, chifufe, desmicha l'shusarabim umishum chifufe. Those kalim that were left right at the borderline to the public thoroughfare is they are chifufe. Shederech b'nei adam linot b'tzidei rishus harabim samach lekosel yisedos v'kadome kidei shagolos over rishus harabim lo yaziku es haksolim. They are over him sham. Listen to this word, mischachachim bahem. Now, I'm not sure what mischachim can be. Usually, mischachim means, like in Choshanoga Sapora, he rubs up his shoulder. But here, I think it means that his begadim sort of blow in the wind a little bit, and they may cover the avira kli, and we have a principle called Big Deyama Oretz Tmein. So that's as far as the keros hachitzonios hamunachos samuch l'shus harabim over mishom. Another possible machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan, and will allow us to reconcile the stira in Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda v'chachamim b'maylim b'truim b'lichsen kamiflagi. What happens when a person presents himself as a Kohen and we give him truma? Is that proof positive that he's a Kohen miyuchas? That there's no psul bizarro and he's not a mamzer? There was no admixture of an akum over there. So that's the issue of whether Mailam Mitruma Liyuchsan or Ein Mailam Mitruma Liyuchsan. Rabbi Yehuda holds Mailam Mitruma Liyuchsan. And therefore, we have to be very, very careful and very inhibited about being Michael a Kohen Truma, because by doing so, we're announcing that he is Miyuchas because of Mailam Mitruma Liyuchsan. So it means Rabbi Yehuda has nothing to do with Chayshina L'Gomu. The reason why he asks it is because if we allow the Truma, they'll be Malim L'Yuchsin. And although Truma is Yisurim and 1 aid is enough, when it comes to Yuchsin, we need 2 aid. The Gemara now vacillates. Imagine you sign on a star as an aid, and the star was written up by the Lova, and the Lova calls himself Yankala HaKohen. So when you attach your signatures to the star, are you testifying that Yankala is really a Kohen? If you're telling me that maybe we should rely on the signature of the aid who signs himself as a Kohen, what are you talking about? Do you have any testimony on his behalf that he's a Kohen? We don't trust the person to say I'm a Kohen. Lo. Tzricha, where's the suffix? It says in the star, Ani ploi Kohen lavisi manam li ploin. I, the Lova, have borrowed money, and he identifies himself as a Lova who's a Kohen. V'chasimu sahadi. And at the bottom of the Lova's star, 2 Eidim sign. The Eidim are not testifying about the Gavra that he's a Kohen. They have to make sure that every single word on the star is emes, is truth. And if they attach their signatures, they're testifying to the Lova Ani, Ploni, HaKohen, Lavisi, so and such amount of money. Gemara says that this is machlok between Rav Huna, Rav Chisda, Chad Omer Malin. We take from Shtaros and Mal to Yuchsa Chad Omer Ein Malin. If we saw someone be Noses Kapov, can we establish him as a Kohen? And we can marry him off as a Kohen kosher. Tiboy Leman. According to which opinion in the following machlokes of whether Mila B'Truma or Ein Mila B'Truma Yuchsin are we going to? First, we're going to ask according to Yomi who says Milin Mitruma Yuchsin, and then we're going to ask according to Yomi who says Ein Mila. Tiboy Leman Yomi Milin Hani Mila B'Truma. Truma is a very severe Easter, and if they allowed him to eat Truma in the Beis Hagoren, that's proof positive he's a Kohen. Animili Truma Diavon Misa. Avol Nesias Kapayim. What would he have violated if he was not a Kohen? The Iser Eselo. A Zar who is Noses Kapov violates an Iser Esei. Ko Sevarchu. Sevarchu means you, Kohenin, Velo Zarin. There's no Chiyuv Misa. It's not like Truma. And the maximum could be is an Iser Aseh. And exactly what the stats with Iser Aseh is, that's a Shas Sugya. O Dilma, Loshna, we're not going to differentiate between the Chiyuv Mitzvah of Truma and the Iser Aseh of the Siyas Kapayim. In both cases, we're Malin. Even if I hold that we're not Malin from Truma to Yuchsin, Hanimili Truma, Dimis Alcha B'Chtina. A person could eat Truma in the privacy of his home, and even if he knows he's not a Kohen, he's not embarrassed because nobody knows that he's eating Truma. Which is a public act, and if they find out that he's not a Kohen, oh my gosh, they'll put up what do they call those signs? Pashkavillas, all over the city. He loved Kohen. It's kuli high. Lo machzif inish nafshe. Oh, dilma lo shno. Should we say no? Mesias kapayim is equal to achilas truma, and with choshesh that maybe Adam, right? Shema yizgala dovrei sil bnei Adam sheina Kohen. So if he didn't know for sure that he was a Kohen, he wouldn't even eat truma in the privacy of his house because somebody may find out about it. And the Gemara says, Rav Chisda Rav Avina, Chadamer Mailim Minisias Kapayim Liyuchsu, Chadamer Ein Mailim Minisias Kapayim. So Amalei Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Rav Maulas Minisias Kapayim Liyuchsu. Amalei plug to Rav Chisda, Virav Avina, Rabbi Avina. Hilchas Imai. How do we pass? Amalei Rav says Rav Nachman, I know Masnisi Yodano. I know a Bryce. Tanya Rabbi Yossi Omer. Yedola Chazaka Shenemar Ubnei Umibnei Akon and Bnei Chavya Bnei Akotz Bnei Barzilai Asher Lokach Mnos Barzilai Hagiladi Isha Vayikari Al Shma. Rabbi Yossi wants to indicate how strong a Chazaka is, pardon the pun. And he says that a person has a chazak, whether it's li'isa or lehet or bezdin, is not able to be motzi davar miches kasa unless they have Eidin. When Bnei Yisrael came on Aliyah, what we call the second Commonwealth, with Ezra from Bavel after the Churban Bayis Rishon, and there was Yisraelim, Kohanim, and Levim, and each one brought out a ksav yuchsin to show that his father and his mother were Bnei Yisrael, Ksherim, because there was an admixture of non-Jewish blood. Intermarriage was very rampant at that time. And not only that, if a Kohen marries a Goya, The child of that marriage is a challah. And yet, listen to the power of chazak, even though there was so much intermarriage. Shenemar, in this entire pasuk, and we have somebody by the name of Barzilai, right? He married a girl from Bnos Barzilai. Ela bikshu ksavam misyachsim. Right? They demanded some sort of ksav, the document that would be miyaches them to kahuna, so they could serve in the Beis Hamikdash, which was being rebuilt. To loan him so. As a result of the fact they couldn't find any sort of documents to prove that they were kohanim yuchasim, they were rejected. Vayigoalu min hakahuna. So in the absence of a document, they were rejected. Vayomer hatir shasa, that's Nehemiah, asher lo yochlu bikosh kadoshim ad amon koi le'ur v'tum till Mashiach. He'll clarify who's the Kohen Gadol by asking the Urim V'tum. Okay, so what's the proof here that Chazak is so great? Amalehem. As far as you're eating truma or from Kodesh Kodashim, you know what? You have a chazaka. Whatever you ate in the past, that's going to prove. What did you eat before you came on Aliyah from Bava? The Kodshei Agvul, you ate truma. Is Afkan because Yagvul. But Kodesh Kodashim, Kodshei Mizbech, you would not be allowed to eat. So it means that whatever you have a chazaka on, you continue with that chazaka, that status quo. If you ate truma, we're going to allow you to eat truma. If you were nosei kapayim, we'll allow you to be nosei kapayim. But meh hayisem, blah, 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 bagola is afkan. So you see that they were mamshich linog b'chol dvarm shenagu b'hem begola. They continue to be nosei kapayim and be mevarches ha'am, because that's what they did in the gola. And Nehemiah was not mafkia them except from achilas kodshim if they didn't eat kodshim begola, which certainly they didn't. But Vishal Kedak the Milam and Isias Kapayim Liyuchsin, Ani gave it the Parsi Yadayu, Osi Laskidu. You're telling me that they cannot serve in the Beis Hamikdash and eat kodshim, but you're going to allow them to eat truma or to be nosei kapayim. And if you're going to tell me that Milim Minasias Kapayim Likahuna, then how could we allow him to be nosei kapayim? More answers, Shani Hocha Duriach as Kasayu. Okay, I see. I didn't realize what time it is, so we'll have to stop here. But we're almost finished with the daf. I'll just make a note. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem at 9:45, if that's good.